We are in the Mama's Den, and I got a lot of questions for the married woman, which is everybody besides my ass. Okay, I think my biggest question is, am I in a rush? No. When do you give yourself, is there a time limit?
No.
You know, you're saying that you're saying that you guys waited 7 years before you got married.
We lived together.
Cody waited 3 months.
5 minutes.
Right. You know, it's like...
How long did you guys wait, Melanie, before you got married? What was the time from when you were dating to when you got married?
Jared and I started dating in 2013. We got married in 2020.
So it was like...
7 years.
Well, what about when he committed? I think married is... It's like dating, commitment.
When he showed back up after y'all broke up and he said...
It was 2000... So he showed up. We got back together. We took a 6-month break. And when he showed back up, it was 2015. And I was pregnant 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
So...
And you were living together?
We were living in different states. He was living in Florida. Wow. I was living in LA. I found out I was pregnant while he was in the process of moving to LA. So it kind of just divinely aligned in that way. But I will say it's like the rush, this idea of time. Like, you know, like, I feel like it's unnecessary pressure we put on ourselves to expect that it has to be a certain way at a certain time. Because like if I look at this relationship that we're in, like, according to the standards of how my parents would have done it or whatever. Yeah. We did everything ass backwards. Sure. You know? We were together, we broke up, we got back together, we got pregnant, we had a baby, we got married 5 years later, you know? So it's not the way even I had envisioned it for myself at one point. So I think it definitely changes, but...
Well, wait, I want to follow up to Felicia's question. Are you in a rush or are you interested in getting married or are you interested in finding your person?
Finding my person. Okay. Like the other person being like, okay, yes, we're going to commit and walk towards this goal together. Yeah. So I'm like, that's the part where it gets real tricky.
I feel like, okay, if you meet someone, right, and you just really like them off the first date or something, and you're just trying to be like, okay, now where is this going? I feel like that's rushing. Yeah. If you're in a committed relationship with someone and you feel like you want more from it, whether that's children, whether it's to get married, invest in a property, and you want to make sure that the person is just as committed as you are, I don't feel like that's a rush because you're trying to figure out where you're going. It's like if you have a job, anything you invest in, if you have a goal or you want more out of it, you need to make sure that it's a secure investment. Right. And I think that's the problem that people make is that they do not think about that when they're committing with someone. A lot of times people partner with people in a rush. Yeah. But you thinking about it and you contemplating it and you considering it, that's already not rushing because rushing would be just doing it.
I think rushing is sort of defined by, are you sacrificing yourself? Are you skipping over big questions or red flags because you want this thing? And that doesn't sound like you at all. Yeah. You know?
But I think it's interesting too because she's already done also a different type of progress in her life where she has kids already. Yeah. Right? Like you have kids already. So it's not like you're rushing to get to this idea of a life of married with the husband and the kids. Like you have the kids already. So the companionship and the partnership is what it sounds like you want.
Yeah.
That's why Chia and I waited 7 years. Honestly, we had a baby after only dating for 3 months and we were living together. And I felt like, I just want to get to know you, like outside of being parents. And what does that mean? We didn't have a lot of time alone together. And for me, I did not want to get married. I just wanted to see, do we really connect? Do we bond? Like, what is our connection outside of being a mere as parents? And it took 7 years because that's we were 24. It took a lot of growing and really understanding who we were individually. And it's funny because it wasn't until all of my friends started getting married that I even thought like, well, why didn't he ask me to marry him? You know, and then I started doubting myself and I'm like, we're fine. Like there's nothing, he's not committed to me. We live in the same home. We're committed to one another. There literally to me is no difference in us dating than when we got married. The only difference is him calling me his wife. And like sad to say that me being an independent woman and blah, I love hearing that shit. That's it. I just like when he calls me his wife, that shit makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like, I don't know, not powerful, but just, I don't know. It's just weird. And I never thought that I would feel like that. I felt so embarrassed. But like whenever he's like, this is my wife, I'm like, I am his wife.
Same. Like, I love it.
But the thing is, I was already that. You know what I mean? It was already, because people think you can get divorced. People don't stay committed in marriages all the time. Like people cheat. Sure. So that a marriage is not solidifying your bond. It doesn't mean a man loves you more. It don't mean shit. Your marriage means, your relationship means what the two people make it mean. Like it's nice nice to say that means more, but it really doesn't, because we all know that people do whatever the fuck they want, whether they're married or not. So I don't know. I think that you asking these questions is good, but I don't think you're rushing. If it's something you want, you have to date intentionally, though.
Yeah.
So I want to know.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What about dating, either the process or just not finding your person yet? Like, what about it are you over?
Just the like waiting around. Like because I know what I want.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I don't want to go on a date, and that's it. Okay. My biggest thing is I get deep quick. I want to like get to know the depths of someone, and I feel like I'm a very real, authentic person. So it's like, let's just get past this little bullshit. Like, it's okay if you fart in front of me. It's okay if you take a shit.
Nice meeting you. Let's fart.
Like, let's just get, I'm like, it is okay. So I just think that I'm ready for like a best friend, a partner in that way. So the fact that you have to like filter through it, and sometimes, especially I feel like dating in LA is like, I don't know, what are you here for? What are your intentions? Like, are you full of shit? It's like having to sift through all that shit is really annoying.
That is
listen,
hard,
I feel that, because
I
always said, I was like, if Jared and I didn't end up together, I'd have been the traveling rich auntie. That's what I was committed to being. That I was like, I have no problems just being that, because these streets, I don't want any parts of the streets.
Don't call me. Don't call me streets.
No,
I don't want any part of the streets.
Yeah. I always say that if Chi and I don't work out, I will never get married again, and I will never be in a committed relationship again. I just might have little fuck buddies and travel the world.
Oh Lord.
No, I'm serious. I don't have the energy. Like,
it's a lot.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, because you are so intentional and you're very in tune with who you are.
Yes.
It makes it really hard for you to partner with other people, because you can quickly see and feel the energy of people that just aren't there yet, and that's just exhausting, because you already know the road that's going to take for them to get there. And you're like, I'll wait for this,
girl.
But you know what? I think too, just as a person like you, Fee, who's been on a journey of like mindfulness and intention, like you just get to a place where you really realize my energy is so important to me, and where I place that and who I give that to, it has to feel reciprocated, safe, valued. You know, it's really an important thing, and so it's like, why do it if it doesn't feel like that? With anything and anyone at any time. And you just get to a certain place. Like, we're not 21 years old still trying to figure it out. Like,
girl,
accomplished things, have done things, lived life, traveled, raising kids. Like, we don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have time to be putting our energy into people or things that are not valuing what we bring to the table. So, you know what it is. But I mean, even through marriage, it's a journey.
That's what I was about to say.
Even through marriage, it's a journey. Like, I can't say that Jared and I are in the same place, although I don't feel like our relationship is that much different married than when we weren't married, because the majority of our relationship has been a committed family, and then we just made it legally on paper in the last 6 months. But our relationship in growing and valuing each other in different ways, that is a constant. That will like never change. So like, once you find that person, it doesn't just like, I found it and it all worked out. Still a process.
And see, I feel like I'm in a space where I understand that, and I'm like, okay, now where's the person that I'm like, okay, we about to do this shit together. You ready? You ready? Okay, let's go. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I'm not looking for perfection, but it's like, somebody come grab my hand and let's walk the goddamn road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, it's more of that.
But I do feel, so because you are mindful, you're intentional about your life, that you have to just keep staying in line with that. Like, I think you have to have faith that you are going to find that person, so you never accept anything less than. And that's the scary part, because you don't know, is it this year, is it next year? But I do feel like that's coming for you. Like, there's no way that's not. You're manifesting all of the things that you want in your life.
I'm like,
you
what is triggering this one so goddamn long?
Because listen, people, like Melanie said, people have to grow in their marriages too. You know, like, a lot of times you might start with someone and you can move faster than they do, and then you're waiting for your husband to catch up to you, or or your wife or whoever you're married to. You're waiting for your partner to be like, meet me where I'm at. So that's why I always tell people, okay, what if it takes you 2 more years and then you meet this perfect guy and then you're where you need to be? It could be someone who's been married longer than you, and it's like their partner just now met them where they are too. So it's a consistent journey. Honestly, it's better for you, because at least you know, like, when you meet them, they'll be where, or when you're together, they'll be where you need to be, and you don't have to wait through that process. Like, when you get married, you're already both where you need to be. It's just hard, especially when you date someone when you're younger too, and you try to grow together, because you just grow differently. And you're not the same person when you're 20, 30, 35, 40.
And not just age, but the experiences that you go through.
Yeah.
You know, like having kids. I mean, obviously, Ashley, you guys had kids and then got together, essentially. Like you were dating.
Yeah.
But like the journey of thinking you're grown and having a job or whatever you have, and then like you get married and then you have kids and your life changes, because it's like, oh, what is my new self as a mom? And you know, my body has changed and everything is adjusted. And so now I'm growing in a different way than he's growing. We might both be parents, but we're experiencing parenting in different ways through different lenses, as man, as woman, as person from Philly who grew up without parent, you know, without his dad. You know, we're bringing all of that in. That's just me and Tommy, but we're bringing all of that in, and we're changing and we're evolving, and not necessarily, as Ashley said, at the same pace or in the same ways. And so then it's that regroup.
I have a question and it's for everyone, for single, for married, because personally, I think for me, the way I've learned to love or be in a partnership has changed from when I was younger to when I even met Jared in my 30s. So I find that what I've been able to do more now is surrender to not trying to control the outcome or to control someone else's response, or, you know, try to like persuade or dictate how I want things to go, as opposed to just letting it be what it is and having the faith and the belief that as long as I'm intentionally moving in the direction of the things that I want for myself, it will be that. But I find that that's the way I approached our relationship when we were dating. But I find that I still thankfully have that in our marriage, because things that I would trip off of from before, like want to nitpick and go at, and just now, and I don't know if it's just age, I'm tired, I got kids, I got other shit to worry about. Like, I just don't know. Like now I'm just kind of like, all right, like whatever, I release it. Like, I'm not going to fight over this. I'm not going to make this a point to dig my feet in the sand at this point. Like, we'll get to it when we get to it. Yeah. And that's kind of the way I feel like our relationship got to this place. Do you guys feel like you have experienced that in certain ways?
I was actually telling my therapist this, is that I feel like I'm catching things faster now. Like before I would try to like force something for a long time, like let's say it's years, but now I can catch it a lot quicker. Like instead of 6 years, it's 6 months or 6 weeks. But I think I'm trying to get better at the releasing and whatever it is, it comes back. But I'm like, but it's just something about the love life that there's something there that's just not.
No, I mean, I feel like that there's a clear difference in how I responded to Chia the first 3 or 4 years of our relationship versus now. I also realized that was rooted in my insecurities. The way I responded to him had everything to do with my past relationship, had nothing to do with him. The way I engaged with him had everything to do with my relationship with my father, had nothing to do with him. And so I think because I went to therapy, because I'm more self-aware and I'm consistently looking at myself, the way I'm like that now with him, right? Like I just release a lot of stuff. We don't argue very often at all, but it's mostly because I just don't care. But then also I worry about that sometimes too, because I'm like, I don't want to get to a point where I'm just like tuned out to have peace. But I think that I have children, like you said. I don't have time to worry about what she is doing. I don't have time to parent him. Like that's just not. I used to be like, why'd you do this, or why'd you say that, or everything he said I had a response for. Or, you need to do this better. It's also about me I took all my joy as my responsibility. That's the difference. When we first started dating, I really wanted him to make me happy and do all of these things, and then I realized like he literally can't. That's not his job. So if I want something, I purchase it for myself. If I want my birthday to be a certain way, I plan it myself. It's just because I don't even want to give him the opportunity to disappoint me. And maybe that's bad. I don't know. But I just feel like if I just set things up the way I need them to be, and something that really means something to me, I just do it myself, because it's just better that way. It releases him of all this pressure, because he's never going to be able to do it the way I want anyway. And then I just allow myself, he can just be my husband. You can just be a good dad. Like those are the things that you're great at. You're really great at loving me. You're really great at being a good dad. There's certain things that he doesn't do that used to bother me that I just took the responsibility of. Now I don't have that worry anymore. You know, but
just pay for the damn birthday party I'm planning.
But it's also about what's important to you, though.
Yeah.
Because if it was really important for me for him to be a certain type of partner and he wasn't, then that's not something I'm just going to let go.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you were saying, I don't know if that's a bad thing. It's only bad if you become resentful for it. If you're like, I'm cool to plan this and that and whatever.
I don't even care. I'd let that go.
That's I think life is about figuring out what we're comfortable with and truly knowing that we're actually comfortable with it, as opposed to just like, fine, I'm just going to take this on and then 5 years later I hate you. You know, I totally understand that. And for me, I've certainly gotten to a place where I'm much more understanding and thus accepting of all the things that he does that I think are crazy or annoying or, you know, where I feel like I might have to parent him, but like, I don't have time for that. And so I know I've gotten to a better space with that.
Yeah.
Our biggest challenge for me is just like the way we communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Like that's the constant thing that has to be worked on.
Yeah.
That's hard though.
Yes, girl.
Communication is I know is communication is key. It really is.
Yeah.
Like, and I also think that communication is like maintenance for your car.
Yeah.
Like we should, you know, we take our cars for oil changes, brake checkups, all these things because you just don't want to wait till it runs into the ground and then you're like, oh shit, now I got to pay $1 million to get this shit fixed. Like, so I feel like that's what the maintenance of the work is in the relationship. So the car doesn't crash.
It's
you know,
hard
so
to
you
when you communicate differently.
And communication, right?
Yes.
It's nuanced. It's
nuanced.
not ignoring the fact that, like, okay, we're talking, so we're communicating, okay, but your face is saying something that your mouth is not.
Yeah.
Right.
So
or your actions.
you can't ignore that. You have to like be able to articulate it. You have to be able to be called on it, and then say, okay, this is what I was really thinking. Like, you also have to know when to bring something up versus not. But it's also like, okay, it's going to bother me, so I can't not bring it up ever. But I know it's probably better for me to bring it up tomorrow after lunch as opposed to now before bedtime. Whatever the thing is.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the
communication is
journey.
such an art.
Yes, it is. And it is so funny because I'm thinking like people are like, oh my God, Chi is the best dad ever. And I'm like, that's so funny. I'm not trying to take credit from him, but I kind of, he said it the other day, and if he was here, he would tell you, like, I helped him become that way because for me, I was like, listen.
Welcome to being a woman.
Right.
I'm like, we set it all up, damn it.
And I'm like, I taught him how to do their hair. But anyway, I told him, I said, listen, you're going to help me do their hair. You need to learn about periods. I'm not doing all this shit myself. Like, I'm just not. Right, and I tell him too, like, even when, like, this was one of our bigger arguments because when Amira was in ballet, I took her all the time and he didn't want to come and magically he had to work. Then when she was doing karate, something that he liked.
Was available.
Like, the women at the dojo would be like, I never came. And I would come and they're like, oh my God, your husband's so amazing. And he just brings her and he sits here. And none of the other dads do that. And I'm like, he didn't do that shit when she was doing ballet either. Like, what are you talking about? So I had to talk to him like, you can't just show up for the things that you like and you can't just be the best dad for the things that you like. Like, you have to do that. That's my non-negotiable. That you will be this dad all the time, no matter what activity they're doing, no matter what's happening in their life. Period.
So funny, huh?
Honey,
She run a tight ship.
No, she does.
but I also give him all the head and all the sex and all the other things.
She does.
She does.
Okay, you want to get a
Right.
sex swing for Christmas? I mean, Chia buys me sex toys for our anniversaries and stuff. Okay, not flowers. I get like vibrators and shit. So that's fine. If sex is important to him, and you showing the fuck up and helping me with these kids is important to me. Like, everybody has, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You have to figure out what your non-negotiables are and what's important to you. Then all the other shit, you don't want to plan things, fine. I can do that. I'll pay for that. He doesn't plan. Listen, if it was up to Chia and we went on family trips, he would be having me fly in like Spirit Airline. We'd be staying in a Hilton. I'm not even a Hilton. I'm sorry. Like
Motel
whatever
6,
Holiday Inn. He's just like, I don't want to call him cheap. He's very frugal. And I'm not like that. So we know like that's not going to work for me. So I plan our trips. I do all of these things that people would think like, oh, your husband does that. No, not at all. But then I don't have to cook breakfast. I haven't cooked breakfast for my kids in almost 2-3 years. He wakes up early with them. He makes their breakfast. He takes them on walks. I'm a bad mom for the park. I don't like parks. I'm not a park mom. He takes them to the park. I take swings and shit. I don't like doing that stuff.
It's too much.
It is.
I thought I was
It's
the only one. I was like, I hate this
Yeah,
shit.
the park is exhausting.
Yeah, and he takes them and it's fine.
And
but
the sand. Oh,
yeah.
God.
And
Yeah, I
then
hate
it's
the
dirty and
sand.
they
That's
smell
another
like
podcast
outside.
episode.
Like, I don't want to do that. But we understand, I think when you release these expectations of one another of like being perfect and you really start to ask yourself like what is really important to me,
Yes.
like what really matters, like okay, I need you to fulfill those things, everything else like I'll figure that out.
But see, and this is my thing, it's like there's so much that I do for myself
Yeah.
that I'm like, all I'm asking you to do is like hold me and cuddle me and kiss me. I'm like, you motherfucker.
That's simple.
I'm like, y'all got it pretty goddamn easy.
Yeah. But you know what? It's never that easy.
Right.
You know, like, because like, who's to say that you get that? And then also like, okay, you ever see, what's that movie called? Oh God. Is it I Can Do Bad? No.
Yeah, I Can Do Bad All By Myself?
No, it's not I Can Do Bad. It's the one with Taraji P. Henson. No.
Think Like a Man?
Is it Think Like a Man? Yes.
Yeah.
Think Like a Man.
Okay, girl, I was gonna say, I'm not winning this game.
No.
Because I Can Do Bad All By Myself does have Taraji. That's why I was confused.
No.
Dr. Evil.
Think Like a Man is the one where there's like a very high powered executive woman and she wants another
Taraji.
Yes.
That's right. So she wants somebody who's the same.
Yeah.
But then like Michael Ealy is like
a
the guy with
chef,
the dream.
right?
He's a chef, and she's just like, you don't make no money, and she really just looks. She's like. But then in the end, what she really wants is somebody who's going to love her and be a partner to her, right?
Right.
And it's so interesting because we always think like what it is that we want, what we need, and it changes.
Girl.
You know, like, and, you know, we hear these things too, soulmates and stuff.
Yeah.
As spiritual as I am, I personally don't believe that your soulmate is the be all and end all of your partnership because your soulmate may be someone who comes to teach you something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
right.
true.
I personally believe that Jared is my twin flame. I personally believe that what he is a mirror to me
Yes.
that allows me to see myself.
Where's this book?
You don't know about twin
No,
flames?
I don't.
Oh, teach you
yeah.
later, honey. Yes.
Okay.
Twin
You know?
flames, yeah. And
That's a
I
big
also
thing.
believe, have you heard that you get 3 soulmates in a lifetime?
I've heard that. Yes.
One like
heard
leaves
that.
you, like teaches you something, and then they leave, and then you have to read it. But I believe in that. Yeah.
But I felt like my sister was my soulmate.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be
your
like
partner.
a
Yes.
a relationship
I
in
believe
that a romantic
You
relationship.
meet people who just teach you so much about yourself. That you become like a better, greater person. You also understand love in a very deep way, and it doesn't have. It could be a mom, a dad, a sister, brother,
It comes
friend.
in so many forms, and I've definitely dated people or someone who has loved me so greatly, so deeply, but I knew they weren't the person that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with.
That's hard.
And that was a hard thing because I was like, this person literally is perfect in every regard, but they're not perfect for me.
Yeah.
And recently, my homegirl Shan Booty, she broke it down very simply into this triangle, and she says there's the triangle of things that need to be checked off. It's so important that you might have like 2 of these components, and then or you don't have, or you have 1, or like not enough. But really, the perfect thing, kind of in all perfect sense, is when all 3 are met. And it change, you know, it's different for everybody. And I thought it was so well put. It was so just concise and to the point, because it really helped me, I think, when I look back on my journey of how I've gotten to this place of being like, yes, these were the things that had to be checked for me. And, you know, it's just different for everybody. Some people just want companionship.
Yeah.
Commitment.
Some people want somebody to build a business with. Some people want somebody to just have a family life with. Like, it's so subjective, I think, for everybody.
So say all 3.
Passion?
Commitment, passion, and companionship.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Those are the 3.
Okay.
I see. I'm missing one corner.
What's your corner?
Commitment. Well, I am not.
Yeah.
The person I am dating it's that corner is
But
missing,
imagine
and it
people
really
who are
bothers
in
me.
commitment and they're missing the passion.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I've
Or
been there before.
companionship. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
It's hard to get all 3. So can you find, are you saying that you need to find someone that fulfills all 3? Or
No.
it's
Best
which
two.
ones are the most important to you?
Personally, for me, all 3 needed to be checked. But I believe that some people just need 2, depending on who they are and what it is that they want. Like, they just might need, you know, some people don't want to be in a committed relationship,
You know,
but
I
they
feel
have
like
the
I get all
passion
3 at the same
and the
time.
companionship.
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's.
The
I think-
passion would be like,
I think that having all 3 at the
Says the
same
lady who
time.
has sex
I
every
think-
five
passion
minutes.
and sex
Girl.
to me aren't the same thing. Well, you know, it's weird when I think of passion, I think more of like of him being more attentive to me. So like sometimes we can go the whole day seeing each other, but like we don't even hug or something, and I'll be like, you didn't even hug me today. So that to me is passion, not sex. You know, I'm just like I do.
But passion can be different. Like, you know, I remember dating a guy who was so amazing. He had his shit together. We were young too. Like, but he was like the guy. He worked. We were in college sweethearts. But I remember telling him that I didn't feel like he had passion. And it wasn't from a sexual standpoint or anything. It was
Right.
like passion for life. Like,
Yeah.
where is that thing?
Zest.
I would
Yes.
say each of those words actually comes with quite a few definitions.
Yeah.
too. Maybe except commitment. That one's pretty clear.
Yeah.
But I would argue that companionship and passion come in different forms for different people.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, you know, if you use that model, you just kind of think, what are the most important things to you? You know, like what is it? But you said it's like you are looking for commitment.
I'm looking for all three of those things.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't blame you.
I need all those damn corners.
Good. But I do.
Give my corner.
Where's my corner? This is the only corner I want to be in. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, hello.
But I think it's really important to have that, and then to know that, and then whoever it is that you're dating and whoever it is that you're sharing your time with understands that.
Yeah.
Because I think too, as women, we get put in this place where we have to be tiptoeing around what we need to say, what we want, because we don't want to scare somebody off. It's like, no, boo,
marble floor.
I'm okay being by myself.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be around, you got to know that this is what I'm looking for from somebody being around.
Yeah.
We should never feel, you know, terrified or hesitant to have to state our intentions. Like that's
just rooted in us not believing that we're deserving of what we ask for.
Yeah.
That's all that is, you know, just in all areas of life. People do it at work, you know, it's not just with your parents, with people. When you feel like, you know, there's something missing, or you know you need something from a relationship, you don't ask for it. It's because you truly believe that you aren't going to get it. And because if you know, if I thought Cody was going to give me $10,000, I would ask her for it.
I would if I could.
Oh, okay.
I really would. I want that for us.
This is a podcast, but if you'd have seen Ashley's eyes go over the microphone, like pause for the response.
No, okay, cool.
It was a specific number.
But that's what I'm saying. But you typically don't ask people for things that you know aren't going to give it to you. You get frustrated with people that you know can give it to you, like the person you're speaking of, but they just aren't. And that's a whole different thing than someone, because my dad was like, I'll never tell you yes if I can't do it. And that's why I'm so like against people lying or giving people false hope. And that's one of the things that I just base my life off of, because my dad never sent me on a mission. He'd be like, no, I'm not coming to get you.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do it. No. And that would hurt my feelings, but at least I never was
knew
like
what it
expecting
was.
something that wasn't coming right.
That's more like traumatic.
And here's, I think, the nuance of relationships, and this may just partly be me. So, you know, we're talking about Felicia, and we did say that you're dating someone. So I'm not trying to out no additional information, but that commitment was the part of the triangle for you that's missing. And I think that oftentimes or sometimes folks find themselves in relationships, even marriage, where the things that we need, we think we have, and then, you know, people have all kinds of blocks. People have their trauma. People have their places where they show up as best they can. But then, you know, I would say, again, commitment is that one that's like, come on, we got to have that.
Yeah.
But that part of the work of marriage is sometimes realizing that something you need or something you think your partner can provide, they either can't or they're not because of their own walls.
Yeah.
And the work is like, how much do I set my boundaries to say you've got to give this, or giving them grace? How long do you give them grace?
That's
the part. I know. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you're dating and this is your question, right?
Yeah.
I'm 6 years into marriage, and there's certainly things that like we look up, and it's like, I know that you're not doing this because it wasn't provided to you as a child, or because, you know, and that's the constant thing for me is how much do I give grace and patience and understanding, and how much am I hurting myself when I do it?
That's right. Yeah.
I wish I
had
don't have an answer.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It just can't be at the expense of your happiness.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
I was going to say.
that's what it is, huh?
Yeah.
It's like when I'm compromising too much of what it is that I want.
Yeah.
Like I think I started to look up, and I'm like, wait, I'm bending a lot on my shit, but are you bending on anything with mine?
Yeah.
Like with what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I need to just press the pause button on this.
Push
I need to
pause.
And
pull
that's
a
good.
Melanie.
It's good to know that now.
Melanie.
Yeah.
Good to identify those things now.
Pull a
I need
Melanie.
to pull a Melanie.
Oh yeah, I shared this before. It's like,
She said, oh yeah.
no, yes.
She's like, baby.
She's baby nails.
We can walk away
just,
for a little bit.
And it was so interesting because when Jared and I did take our break after dating for over a year, you know, I released him with such a grace that
So how did you do it? I need to know.
I want to know, what did you say exactly?
What did you say? Can you send it to me in an email?
So let me tell you. So what happened is that we were dating, and I remember like I was at his house, and I remember I had to leave his house to go to a studio session, which was like in New Jersey, not far from where he was living. And I remember I went into the session, and it was almost like I just had this revelation where I was just like, this is not it. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong. He didn't do anything. It's just not it. And I came back to his house right after that session, and we looked at each other, and we just both looked at each other, and I was like, we got to talk. And he's like, I know.
Oh, wow.
And we had just known it because he knew that, like, I was looking at him for a little while. Are we doing this? Are we doing this? And even though we were doing it, I know we weren't doing it at our highest potential.
Yeah. You knew he was holding back.
I knew he was holding back. And it had nothing to do with other women. It had nothing to do with, us and our not having chemistry and passion. Yeah. It was his own shit, his own blockages, his own questions he had never answered for himself. So we just looked at each other and knew it was time to take some time. And like never before, I released him with love. There was no animosity. He ended up taking a job out of state and moving. I helped him pack on the last night. I was the last person he saw as he went off. And I told him, do not call me.
Like, how did you say do not call me?
Girl, don't call me.
I said, but that's the thing. There's a difference between saying, and don't ever call me again, versus, hey, look, we're making the decision to do this. I need to have my space to do this, and so do you.
That's very loving.
So please don't call me. Please don't check on me. I will be fine. We don't have to talk about the weather. This is not ending on a bad term, even though this is not what I or either of us would have liked it to be. But please don't call. Like, just please go. And do not call until you are sure that this is where you need to be and you know what you want for your life. It's not even for me. It was also for me saying, I love this person so much. Go and find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go and, if it's not me, go and find whatever it is that you need to find for yourself. That could be somebody else. And the thought of that was painful. But then also the thought of that for me was, if you go find someone else, then that means there's someone else for me.
Right.
Period. Yeah.
So let me create the space for this to reveal what it is. And 6 months later, he came back with such passion, such intention, such growth, he was grounded. I had seen the change in him without even being a part of it. And knowing that I didn't have to facilitate and hold his hand through it. Knowing that he took the initiative to do the work and knew I was not about no games.
This is like so romantic to me.
Like, I love it.
Can we write that movie?
I love it.
Come back, don't show up unless you're ready to show up.
You need to write a movie.
I said we
because a lot of people that are dating, we feel like this,
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, tell me more. So how
that's why I think like the concept of the surrender is to really, really commit to the idea that we are not here to control everything. We are not here to control the outcome. The outcome will be what it's going to be if you're living in your intention. And so I just feel like you do that already. So I feel like when you can surrender, and it's interesting that you say that the love for you is the one area of your life where it's just like, why can't I? It's there to teach you something. Yeah. It's there to teach you something so great. And I feel like that's wherever our greatest struggles come from. And that's why I always say, like back to I said, he's my twin flame. Because I looked at him and I was like, you want patience? You want grace? You're going to have to show it.
Yeah. But you already know. That's what I was going to say. You already know. You just, maybe that is the lesson. God is kind of reminding you to continue to listen to yourself. Why do you have the success with your career? Because you listen to yourself. Why were you able to work out and get the goals that you wanted? Because you listen to yourself. Why are you the type of mother that you are? Because you listen to yourself. So maybe the lesson is like, I'm one of these people who believe that when you are like getting to your greatest self, that God sometimes, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, does these little things just to see, like, are you really there before I give you this ultimate blessing? Like, I'm going to test you one more time. Girl. And I feel like this might be it. Like, okay, you show me that you listen and that you follow through, but like, are you doing it with your love life too? Like in all areas. So the same way, if you were working with somebody and they were printing your clothes and that shit wasn't working out, and it doesn't matter if you were with 2 years, you'd be like, I'm about to find somebody else. Like, you're not about to have my shit looking crazy. You would do that. So you got to do that with your life. Like, you may be doing all these things that I want, but you're not where you need to be. So I'm gonna release you.
Is it trust?
It's trusting yourself.
Yeah, it's trusting yourself. It's trusting that the things that you believe that you want for yourself will come. You have to believe that. And when you believe that, you don't accept anything less than that.
But I also understand too that it's hard when you see it in somebody, because I too saw that.
Right.
Yeah. Like
but
I had to release him knowing. And I was just like,
because you saw it, but it wasn't being presented to you. And that's different. That's different.
Yeah. He needed to see it.
Yeah.
He needed to see it. It didn't have to come from me telling him, because he knew, but he needed to trust himself as much as I needed to trust myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the codependency of us being like, you got me, I got you. It's like, no, I got me. You need to get you so we can be together.
Period.
Right.
Yeah.
Period.
And be okay, as Melanie was, with that not being the outcome.
Yeah.
I see you, Ashley.
What, did you hear that?
Yeah, it's like a strange bird out there.
I gotta pee, y'all.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And I have to
I
go.
think, listen, dating and marriage, there's a lot that doesn't change, you know. And I think the biggest lesson that I'm taking away is boundaries.
Yes.
Knowing yourself,
Yes.
trusting yourself,
Yes.
and clearly communicating what your boundaries are and what you need.
Yep.
So that's the Mama's Den. That's on Mary Had a Little Lamb
That's our Black Jesus.
in the Mama's Den.
I still don't know where that saying came from.
You didn't see the guy get out the car?
We'll show you. We'll show you.
Where the money resides.
He's where the money resides. Oh, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Yes. I love him. All right, that's the Mama's Den. If you love the podcast, follow us, like us, rate us, leave a comment, tell us what you want us to talk about. And we'll be back next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.